everybody, welcome to the Start Marketing Podcast. This is Joe Sanders with you. Thanks for joining us. We are talking today about content and the art of content creation and content execution on your digital marketing channels. With me again is Jillian, who is going to help us dive into this topic. Jillian, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great.
That's great. We are excited that you're here. As in all the episodes, I always like to let you guys know that we work from a 5-step system that we refer to as the Stop Posting, Start Marketing system. It starts with finding the right audience, creating the right content, promoting your business as a brand, using ample resources, and analyzing the results. This is all found in a book called Stop Posting, Start Marketing that you can find on Amazon, as well as if you check out our previous episodes of our podcast, we have broken each one of these down in great detail, as well as other interests and other topics like we're going to talk about today. So let's get right into this. Now, one of the topics, on our 5 steps is content creation. And we have talked a lot about that. But today, what I really want to focus on today is I want to talk about how content creation affects your brand online. Because there's this whole concept around what people will call content marketing. And I'm not sure exactly what the difference between content marketing is, or is like marketing content, but I hear this term a lot. And so I want to talk a lot today about what kind of content should you post, right? And when you do post this kind of content, what impact, if any, will this make on your audience on digital marketing? Because I could sit here all day long and post all kinds of content, but I think I know throughout doing this, the course of the years that I've been involved, there's sort of an art to this. There's sort of an art to putting out the right content. I know people have been very successful at using these strategies when they're promoting their businesses and their brands. And so I want to try to give you guys some insight into that. And Jillian, pick Jillian's brain too, because Jillian's a content marketing specialist, as to, hey, what kind of content should I be posting? And when I do, how does this impact my brand? How does this impact my business? So let's start at the beginning. And I guess the first thing that I would want to bring up here is, what kind of content, if you want to be really good at content marketing, what kind of content should you be posting? So Jillian, you run digital marketing campaigns for at least a dozen companies. And what kind of content are you posting on these digital marketing channels on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all these different places? What kind of content are you posting and why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think, that is the big question. I think a lot of people getting started on social can get kind of stuck on this. Like, you have everything set up. What do I post now? It all seems pretty overwhelming. But I think at the end of the day, you really just want to focus on posting content all about your brand. There's so many parts of a brand, and there's so many things that go into it in your business. So you always want to try and hit those marks. We've talked about before, having those few key words that define your brand. So you always want to try and think about those when you're creating your content. And you can create content really around any little thing. So you can show off your products. You can post announcements and updates and operations, new offers, share reviews and pictures from happy customers, ask questions and polls. And this whole kind of combination and variety of content as it relates to your brand is what I think will bring you success.
Yeah, you're right. And I totally agree. I think, when you're promoting your brand, almost in any case, but especially in digital marketing, what you're really doing is you're telling a story. I mean, content marketing at the heart of what it is, it's really storytelling. I know that I've had conversations with many of business owners and clients that we've had, and they'll be telling me it's funny. Well, we'll be having a meeting about digital marketing and Facebook posts and Instagram stuff and all this kind of stuff. And they'll be like, yeah, I don't know what to post, and I don't know what direction to give you guys, and what kind of content to create. And we kind of go through these exercises, Jillian, like you said, coming up with the 3 words and these kinds of things. And we will go through these exercises. And it's funny because at the end of the conversation, so maybe we do that for a half hour, and at the end, the owner will be like, oh, you guys, I got to tell you what happened to the restaurant today, or I got to tell you about what this customer said. And then I go, wait a minute. Like, that's the content. Like, that's what we need. Like, that's it. Because it's one thing to go out there and to say, hey, we're the best. I have the best pizza in town, or I'm the best accountant in the world, or I'm this and that. It's another thing when you actually have a story that actually reinforces that through somebody else, through another entity that's not just you. Do you know what I mean? And so I think, like you said, people do get overwhelmed. This is a very overwhelming thing. It's sitting in front of the blank screen and going, oh no, I have to post things today. I have to actually put stuff on my digital marketing channels today. I don't even know what to do. I think if you take a step back and you really just think about, what are the 3 things that I want people to think about when they think about my business? And we've kind of reiterated this ad nauseum. If you haven't heard about this, go back and listen to some of our previous episodes about that. But it's really the heart of what it is that makes you tick personally, that makes your business tick. And it's those stories that you really want to tell. I remember we have a music school that we work with, and we can come up with great content for the music school all day long. Jillian's worked on this account. I've worked on this account. I mean, you can find pictures of cute kids playing the trumpet or playing the piano anywhere. Or you can find pictures of superimposed, Photoshop babies, playing the drums. You've probably seen these. And they get engagement. There's no question about it. And moms in our area that are looking they will say that and say, oh, that's cool. I'm interested. But I tell you, when the owner of the music school sends us a picture of a kid, I remember one in particular, it was a picture of a student. I think he was like 7 or 8, and he had his parents' permission. So this is fine. If you're posting minors, you have parents' permission, all that. It was just a picture of a kid holding a guitar for the first time. He had never held a guitar, but he was taking guitar lessons. And so he sent us this picture and he goes, this is Michael. And today was his first guitar lesson, blah, blah, blah. Now, that is great content. We post that picture. We didn't have to put words on it. We didn't have to Photoshop it. We wrote a simple message. We said, hey, everybody, this is Michael. And today is Michael's first day of learning how to play the guitar at the XYZ music school, and blah, 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 blah. And guess how much engagement we got on that? Probably 100 times more than the picture that we had posted the other day of like learn to rock with a couple of kids, playing the guitar, that we found on like iStock or Getty Images. Because Michael picking up a guitar for the first time is a story. It's an emotional connection. And it's a simple thing. Like the kid coming in for his first lesson, like who would even think about like that being social media content? But that's actually the kind of content that you want to post. And that's the kind of stuff that you want to get out there because it's emotional. It's a great story. And us putting that picture of Michael and writing a little bit about him is exactly what the music school is trying to promote. They're trying to tell parents that, hey, you, without actually saying it, we're saying your son or daughter can be just like Michael. Now, right? So Jillian, let's also talk about platforms, because different platforms that we use have different kinds of content. So we got this picture of Michael and we can use it on, probably the majority of the main ones. But tell me what kind of content are you using different kind of content on like Instagram and like Twitter and Pinterest and like YouTube, or are you kind of using the same stuff?
Yeah. So I kind of use the same thing, but we'll format it for the different platforms. Okay. So, on Facebook, I typically tend to design things a little more. I can use, if I'm putting a picture into a design, then I'll pull that out and just use the picture as it is, like on Instagram. Instagram, I don't like to use a lot of heavy design or stuff like that because it's very photo focused and reeled, and it can kind of look weird in that grid style feed if you just have like so much going on besides static images.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Twitter and LinkedIn, which we also use a lot, there I kind of do whatever I want. I kind of design a little more as well.
Right.
I would say Instagram is the number one where I'm like, have more of a specific look that I'm going for. Yeah.
And we have a client that is a credit services client. And so when I post, when I'm, and I hate that word post, I hate that. I even catching myself saying like, when I'm marketing my content, that's what I'm going to say. When I'm marketing my content on Facebook, and I'm doing it from the perspective of the business, because I'm not posting on the owner's personal page. That would be irresponsible. He might want to do it himself, but if he did, it would be from his perspective. The story changes, right? So like we may have so for example, we had something where this gentleman who's the owner of this company was quoted in a national publication that had to do with credit scores or something. And so that's a great post for us, or that's great. I said it again. That's great marketing content for us. I'm going to catch myself all day. That's great marketing content for us. So what we would do on the Facebook side is the business, the content creation there is calling out the fact that the owner of this business is an expert. That's the story I'm telling. I'm telling the story that the owner is an expert. He's such an expert that other experts seek him out for his knowledge and put him in these publications. What exactly he said in the publication, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't, unless he said something stupid. This was a pretty big publication, and that's the story that I'm telling with that content. Every time he is quoted in something, that's the story. The story is not like, it's like that old, adage, don't bury the lead, right? Like that's what we're doing. The lead is not what he said. The lead is that he said it in this publication and they want him to. And that's the story you're telling. But the difference is when I go to LinkedIn and I post that same content, it's different because on LinkedIn, I am posting as him. I am using his business, and I might do both. So the tone of changes. The content is the same, right? The marketing content of the article that I'm leveraging is the same, but now I'm calling out his personal story in relation to that content. What I'm doing there is positioning him. I'm positioning the business in one way and positioning him in another that actually just go to the peak of a triangle to the same intersection. It's the same point, but I'm actually positioning them differently because the story is different, even though the content is the same. And I know that we do this with Instagram. We do this with Facebook, especially in the way that we write the copy, right? When we're writing the copy. So how do you differentiate? You may have a picture and on Facebook, you may put a little graphic on there, overlay, and on Instagram you might not, and you might use the same sort of verbiage, but how do you write the copy differently on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook? How do you do that? Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. The tone is really important when it comes to what you're posting and what your business is. So I have different clients where I post from more of like a business perspective. And I have one client in particular who sells school curriculum. And I always kind of like, she created this whole curriculum by herself. I often like to use more of a tone that's coming directly from her because she created it and she's, promoting herself to primarily moms. And it's great to establish that sort of connection with moms teaching children on their own. So I think what you said, tone is really important when it comes to what you're posting and who you're posting for. Yeah. And that's a good point too, because, again, going back to that notion about content marketing and being overwhelmed by content marketing. And I don't blame people because you and I do this for a living. We get overwhelmed by content marketing, but I think the idea, especially in the case of what you're saying, the at-home curriculum, or in the case of the gentleman that I have that has a credit services company, we don't have to reinvent the wheel to find the interesting. Like we don't have to, there's this notion that everything that I do has to be produced. right? Like everything has to be produced, and nothing can be like real and raw, because real and raw is unprofessional. And, but that is so not true. Some of the most effective digital marketing posts you can do will be very raw, as long as you're telling your story. So let's go back to my example. Let's go back to your example. So let's take the gal running the at-home curriculum. Imagine, and I think maybe, I don't know if we've done this, but I'm just going to use an example. Imagine she sets up her iPhone or her Galaxy phone and sits in front of it and talks from home about how beneficial this at-home curriculum can be to a family that's homeschooling during COVID. But it's not like a super well-produced thing. We're not using lights and sound. It's just basically just her in her living room. That can be incredibly impactful. Like, even if she makes a mistake, even if she like coughs or her dog walks by, why? It's the story. We're telling a story. And we wouldn't take a video like that and put it on television, or maybe put a ton of money behind it on YouTube and be promoting it like as a pre-roll for a commercial or something. But the story that you can tell, the story is, like you said, that this woman created this curriculum that people like, and it's helping families. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that, right? The guy who he runs a credit services company. He absolutely incredibly passionate about helping people build their credit and save their credit. And if you ever talk to him, you will get this incredible passion for helping people. That's the story. That's what it is. Now, the content equation is, how do you take that, get creative, right? And communicate that in ways that people will interpret it the way you want them to. And for that, you might need some help. That's where, I think that's really where people like, not to toot their own horns, but I think that's where people like you and I, Jillian, and lots of other people really shine, because a lot of times the stories are there. People have done these incredible things, or they have these incredible stories to tell, or their businesses are amazing, or their products are amazing, but they can't find a story in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And when you can find a story of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, I think you're gonna have a really, really big impact in people and really start positioning you the way that you want to be. Now, we use this rule at our company at Relevant Elephant about varied content, and we're very passionate. I'm a big promoter of varied content. And what I mean by varied content is, don't post the same don't market the same content all the time, because it gets very old. So back to the example, if this gal sat in front of her cell phone, took a video, and did it like 3 times a day, that would get old. That would not work. If she did it once a week with kind of a message, that would probably play. So Jillian, tell me, when you're building content, how are you using, like, what are other forms of content that you can do when you're telling these stories, that's not always just the regular static of, well, here's a picture, or here, here's this, here's that. How else are you using different forms of content to tell stories on your digital marketing channels?
Yeah. I kind of think of it for like each of my clients, certain like themes I want to make sure I hit every week. So if we continue using, the at-home school curriculum client as an example, I, will post about one of her products specifically once a week. And then I will post a testimonial from a happy mom who's using her curriculum.
Right.
And then I know something she likes to incorporate as well is asking questions. How can we improve the curriculum and make it work better for you? I think a really important thing to incorporate into your content lately is that interaction with customers. Polls and questions are great ways to do that. And I also like to make sure to incorporate those more real, raw, unproduced moments, like she has done little Facebook Live videos in the past where she talks about specific things in her curriculum, or just a cute photo of a kid with the book smiling. Those are usually the posts that do the best.
Right.
So making sure I hit all those different sort of markers within a week helps me ensure that I'm producing a variety of things and not letting people get bored and tune out or unfollow, and also making sure people who are different are interested in different aspects of your brand are being hit all the time, and bringing more people into your audience at all times.
That's great. And yeah, I think the being organized with this always helps. Having a
Mm-hmm.
plan always helps. It's not going to always tell you what to do like every day, but like you said, we go through some of these exercises here where we think of the three things we want people to think about. We think about our business. We spend some time going through that. I like what you said about themes. Themes are telling a story. Themes are part of the story. You're building the story. So what is the story you're trying to tell? What are the themes? Making sure you hit them every week. Great. Now you're reaching the same people with different themes, telling the same story. It's like I said before about that
Mm-hmm.
triangle or I guess it'd be more like a pyramid to the point. It's all headed to the same place. And I think that brings up something else that is important to at least note. It's for people that are new at this. You can post the wrong content. You can market the wrong content. It's totally possible to do. If all you care about is getting content out and it's not really telling your story or a story at all, and it has nothing to do with your brand, I mean, think about it this way. You're telling a story either way. Like whatever you put out there is telling a story. It may not be the story you want to tell, right? But it is. Like everybody was going crazy with these like the Bernie Sanders memes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody was doing that. And that's fine. It's funny and it was timely. And there's totally a place for that. And if you can find a place to fit that into your marketing and to take that 15 minutes of fame with that, well then that's great. But if you take somebody else's meme that might be inappropriate for your brand and you post that, and there were some inappropriate ones, and I mean it's the internet, right? And so if you posted one of those and said, oh, this is just funny, it has to do with this is timely, this just happened today, I should post this or I should market this right now. Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's why as I'm going through this podcast, I'm trying to catch myself when I say post, because post is the wrong word. It's all about marketing. Everything you put out there is marketing, and it's marketing is storytelling. So I think I always want to tell people that you just relax. Take a step back, get a little organized. I'm saying this too. We have a book on this on Amazon called Stop Posting, Start Marketing. It's a great place to start. It's not the be all end all marketing book. There are other great books, but there's a worksheet in the back and we walk you through this process so you can get organized. And it's a good way to like put your mind in place so that you'll know, is this the right kind of content I should be marketing or not? And I think it's a good sounding board or a matrix, if you will, in order to help you just define what your story is and then how you can go about telling it. And I think that that's important to do. I hate it when people, or I get frustrated with people who think that, well, I just have to post something now. I just have to get this out. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it has to be this big operation every day. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It comes from the stories that you're trying to tell about yourself or your business. Like Jillian alluded to, it's the themes, it's the branding, and it's all those kinds of things on the right platforms at the right time. And in some cases you may want to put some money behind these things to make it so that it actually is getting out there to more people. And this all kind of, and the word storytelling also alludes to the word positioning. And this is really interesting because really, on digital marketing, what you're really trying to do is position yourself in a way that people interpret you and think about those traits when they think about those traits, then they'll think about you. So let me go back to what I was saying before about like the music school, right? That picture of Michael was so right on with that music school because that's exactly what this music school wants. They want parents to send their kids there to learn instruments. I mean, it's just simple. It sounds commonsensical. It sounds dumb just coming out when I'm saying it, but that is the absolute position that company has. So Jillian, tell me about like one of the brands you're working on, or one of the accounts that you're working on, and maybe tell me like what are one of the things you guys are trying to position, or one of the themes that you're trying to evoke, and give me a couple examples of how you create content to encourage to get people to pay attention and to be like, oh yeah, I get that actually represents that and communicates that.
Right. So I think a good one would be a Italian restaurant / wedding venue we have,
Mm-hmm.
and like a banquet hall.
Okay.
Typically, I think when you think of these sorts of places, they are, more fancy, more high end. You have your wedding there, you go over there for anniversaries and special events and all that. But I know an approach that they like to take is they're very more family friendly and approachable. Um, they are a family-owned business themselves. And the business is named, it's their last name. So they don't want to necessarily just be that come here for your anniversary place. They want you to come here all the time and be a part of our family. So I like to position themselves that way by incorporating a lot of pictures of their family themselves, their family making the pastas fresh, families in the restaurant just on any regular night. In addition to here and there posting a big fancy wedding or posting someone going there every year for their anniversary. They just got a review like that where we come here every year for our anniversary for 8 years.
Yeah.
And things like that are great, but they want to be positioned as a little bit more of an approachable family style, come here all the time and be a part of our family type of fancy restaurants / banquet hall.
That's great. That's a great example. And again, because just like you said, what we're doing, we're marketing that content is we are literally getting people to start to shape in their mind, how they feel about that business or how they feel about that brand by the images they see, by the videos that they see, by the words they read and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing will work for any business. But again, think about this place we're talking about. This is not we didn't hire like some multi-million-dollar branding firm to come in to tell us that we need to post pictures of these guys, this family-owned business, right? It's just that's just happens to be what it is that they want to do. There are other businesses that we have that are similar that don't want any of that. They don't want anybody to know. You know what I'm talking about. They don't want anybody to know that they even have these people working there. They don't want anybody to know. Okay, well, guess what? That's all right too, because that's a different story. It's a different position. It's a different business. It's a different marketing platform. But but the content that you post on there, it all streams straight from the top, and it trickles down to how do you best communicate the values that you want in your business. So I would encourage anybody who's struggling with content marketing. Again, I'll go back to this thing I've said a couple of times. Think about the 3 things you want people to think about when they think about your business. Start there. I'm going to have to tell you again, go get the book if you're really struggling with this. I have a couple chapters on this, really going to help you. But think about those 3 things and then look at your digital marketing or your brand in general and say, hey, do those line up? Ask a couple other people to do it for you. Hey, what do you see? What do you think when you look at my Instagram page, my Facebook page, my website? What do you see? What do you think of? And then you put that up against the 3 things that you really want people to communicate, that you're trying to communicate. And then you from there, you start tweaking. And then those days when you can't come up with any content, go back to your 3 themes or words or whatever that you thought of, and then start brainstorming ideas of how you can communicate those aspects with whatever you got. If you have a $0 marketing budget or $1 million marketing budget, so what? You can still figure out ways to actually communicate all those things on your digital marketing channels, and it'll really make an impact. And the positioning will come through, the storytelling will come through, and your content marketing will be great. So rock and roll. Jillian, any other advice for anybody who's starting this for the first time? Words of wisdom?
I really liked what you said, which is just kind of relax. I know it can seem overwhelming, but just kind of relax. Think about your business and a few things that you really want to portray yourself as a brand. And then go out there and execute.
I like it.
It can really be simple.
Yeah. Simple is better. So sometimes simple is better. But hey, if you guys got some big marketing event or something you need to crack, give us a call. We'll help you out. But I think for the most part, you can keep it simple. And sometimes the most simple stuff will make the biggest impact. So that's great. Cool. Thanks, Jillian. Appreciate your insight. Thanks everybody for listening. Again, this is a Start Marketing Podcast. Please, if you haven't yet subscribed to our podcast, you can find us anywhere podcasts are found. If you have any questions, please shoot us an email. Go to relevantelephant.net. Find us on Facebook or Instagram. Shoot us a message. Anything related to digital marketing, we'll be happy to answer for you. If you took the time to listen to us, we'd be happy to take the time to listen to you. And until next time, this is Joe Sanders saying, stop posting, start marketing.